I could put it on an incident. I mean, my father chopping the heads off of our 2 pet chickens and my mother insisting that I eat them for dinner.
I hate those male... God. I hate those male cops.
You know, if I wanted to kill somebody, I'd take this book and beat you to death with it, and I wouldn't feel a thing.
If I couldn't keep them there with me whole, at least I felt that I could keep their skeletons.
And you don't blame me if I say I hope you never get out of this place.
I hope I never do either.
Imagine standing face to face with the most notorious criminals in history, those whose actions sent shockwaves through the world. But what if I told you that some of their confessions are far more chilling than the crimes themselves? As we dive into the minds of these infamous serial killers, you'll hear admissions and explanations that will leave you questioning everything you thought you knew about human nature. What drives a person to commit such unspeakable acts? Is it madness or something darker? In today's video, I'm going to reveal the most shocking and mind-bending confessions ever made by these notorious criminals. What you're about to hear will not just shock you, it'll make you rethink everything. Ted Bundy is one of the most infamous criminals in history. Between 1974 and 1978, he targeted young women, using his charm and intelligence to lure them in. Pretending to need help, he would strike with brutal force. Bundy confessed to 30 murders, but experts believe the real number is much higher. He escaped from prison twice, and during his second escape, he nearly killed again before being captured for good. Sentenced to death by electric chair in 1990, his final interview is short, but what he says will shock you. Pay close attention.
I've met a lot of men who were motivated to commit violence just like me. And without exception, every one of them was deeply involved in pornography, without question, without exception, deeply influenced and consumed by an addiction to pornography. There's no question about it. The FBI's own study on serial homicide shows that the most common interest among serial killers is pornography.
That's true.
And it's real. It's true.
Aileen Wuornos, an American serial killer, was convicted of killing 7 men in just 1 year, claiming they had attempted to assault her. Working as a prostitute, she targeted her clients. Arrested in 1991, she was sentenced to death. In one of her final interviews before her execution, she revealed,
"Nonetheless, you killed 7 men.
Yes, you
did.
did.
And I'm asking you, what got you to kill the 7
And
men?
I'm telling you because the cops let me keep killing them, Nick. Don't you get it?
I
never hated men, but now I do. I mean, not all. I have a category. I hate those male... God. I hate those male cops. Real bad. The cops, the judges, the lawyers, they're all male.
Do you want to die? You want to...
Oh, man, if I was to leave this planet, it wouldn't be no big deal to me.
Charles Manson was the leader of a notorious criminal cult he founded in the 1960s, known as the Manson family. With his manipulative charisma, he convinced his followers to commit horrific crimes, including the brutal murder of a pregnant actress and 6 others in 1970. Manson's goal was to incite a racial war, a concept inspired by a song from a band he admired. Arrested in 1970, he was sentenced to death. Here are his chilling responses to the charges against him.
Remorse for what? You people have done everything in the world to me. Doesn't that give me equal right? I can do anything I want to you people at any time I want to, because that's what you've done to me. If you spit in my face and smack me in the mouth and throw me in solitary confinement for nothing, what do you think's gonna happen when I get out of here? I wouldn't do anything that I felt guilty about.
You don't feel guilty at all?
There's no need to feel guilty. I haven't done anything I'm ashamed of. Maybe I haven't done enough. I might be ashamed of that, for not doing enough. Maybe I should have killed 400 or 500 people, then I would have felt better. Then when I felt like I really offered society something. You know, if I wanted to kill somebody, I'd take this book and beat you to death with it, and I wouldn't feel a thing. Do you feel blame? Are you mad? Do you feel like wolves kebabs right friends? Get friends, believe me, if I started murdering people, there'd be none of you left.
What do you think it is about you that makes people want to be a part of whatever it is you're a part of?
I'm brand new. Everything I do is always brand new.
People look at you today, 20 years later, and they still have no idea what you're about. Tell me in a sentence who you are.
Nobody.
Richard Ramirez, infamously known as the Night Stalker, was a serial killer who haunted California between 1984 and 1985, committing at least 14 brutal murders. His crimes were horrifyingly violent, with victims tortured before their deaths. Ramirez also followed satanic rituals, leaving chilling symbols at the crime scenes. In 1985, after being chased down by a group of residents, he was captured and later sentenced to death in 1990.
He took a woman in her 60s and stomped her to death with his foot, leaving an imprint of a shoe on the side of her face.
I think most humans have in them the capacity to commit murder. They choose not to, not because they are morally superior, as they so commonly claim, but because they are imprisoned in a web of responsibilities, commitments, beliefs, and sentiments.
Why on earth would you have hurt those people? Why did you kill those people?
No comments. No comments. I cannot answer that at this time. I believe in a malevolent being. His description eludes me, but I have felt powers that are evil. Don't care about myself, really. You know, I don't care about what happens to me. I never did, really.
Jeffrey Dahmer, infamously known as the Cannibal, committed his grisly crimes between 1978 and 1991, claiming the lives of 17 men. His acts were horrifying. He not only murdered his victims, but also mutilated their bodies, kept them, and even consumed parts of them. Dahmer's reign of terror ended in 1991 when one of his victims managed to escape, leading to his capture. He was sentenced to life in prison.
I was saving body parts such as skulls and skeletons. I started reading pornography, going to the bookstores. Eventually that led to frequenting the gay bars. If I couldn't keep them there with me whole, at least I felt that I could keep their skeletons. They were sexual fantasies of control, power, complete dominance, eating of the heart and the arm muscle. It was a way of making me feel that they were a part of me. The mummified head and skull of one of the victims in a carrying case in my locker at work.
Edmund Kemper, known as the Coed Killer, was a notorious American serial killer who murdered 10 people between 1964 and 1973. His victims included 6 young women, his mother, and his grandparents. Standing at 6'9", and with an intelligence far beyond the average, Kemper used his charm and size to manipulate his victims before brutally killing them. After his arrest, he confessed to his crimes in chilling detail, providing one of the most disturbing accounts in criminal history. Kemper was sentenced to life in prison, where he remains to this day.
My mother was a sick, angry, hungry, and very sad woman. I hated her, but I wanted to love my mother. She had terrible pain from her life, but I never hit her. I killed her, but I didn't hit her. Something out of my childhood. I could put it on an incident. I mean, my father chopping the heads off of our 2 pet chickens and my mother insisting that I eat them for dinner. You know, we could say it was something that simple. I don't think it was. And that's when I decided I'm going to murder my mother. And I knew I was going to kill her. I cut off her head. And I humiliated her corpse.
Arthur Shawcross, also known as the Genesee River Killer, was an American serial killer whose crimes shocked the nation. His killing spree began in 1972 when he took the lives of 2 children. After serving 14 years in prison, Shawcross was released, only to resume his deadly ways. Between 1988 and 1989, he murdered 11 women in New York, most of them homeless. In 1990, he was captured and sentenced to life in prison. When asked about how he carried out these brutal crimes, his chilling response was,
"Do you remember killing her?"
Yeah, possibly. We're not going into details here.
No, but how did you kill her?
Probably strangulation.
How do you know when they're dead?
How? I don't know, just do. More or less after they just relax. The body relax, it doesn't fight no more. It only takes about 4 minutes, probably. Sometimes less than that.
Joseph Callinger is one of the most disturbed serial killers in history. From the moment you see him, it's clear he was mentally ill. With the help of his son Michael, Joseph became a killer, taking the lives of 3 people in 1974 and 1975, one of whom was a family member. Suffering from psychological disorders and hallucinations that convinced him he had a divine mission, Joseph's crimes were deeply unsettling. Arrested in 1975, he was sentenced to life in prison. What follows might be the strangest interview you'll ever witness.
With a good ear, and you try to help people.
Yes.
When you're not trying to murder them.
Yes.
When Callinger's reign of terror ended, 3 were dead, including his 14-year-old son.
You murdered your own son?
Yes, I did.
Why did you do that?
He was a sacrifice. I was to murder 3 million people on planet Earth. And he was a sacrifice to see if I could murder one of my own. At the end of murdering all the people on Earth, I was going to murder my own family and then take my own life and become God.
What do you think of the death penalty?
I'm opposed to it.
The state has no right to take your life, but you can murder other people?
I don't think anyone has a right to take a life.
Except you?
When I'm under hallucination, I do.
These voices from God, these hallucinations, do you still experience them?
Yes, I do.
Often?
Often.
Do you ever feel violent?
Yes, I do.
What do you feel like doing?
Killing people.
You still feel like killing people?
Yes.
Describe the feeling that you get when you feel like killing people.
Well, last March 11th, I was hallucinating, and I took a razor blade and I cut a man's throat.
Here in the hospital?
Here in the hospital.
Do you think you'd murder me, Joe?
Yes.
That's gruesome, Joe. That's horrible.
Yes, it is.
And you don't blame me if I say I hope you never get out of this place.
I hope I never do either.
No matter how shocking or bizarre the confessions of these killers may be, we must remember they are criminals who lost their way, and there is no excuse for their actions. The goal of this video is not to sympathize, but to reflect and learn. Evil exists, often hiding behind faces we least expect. Our responsibility is to stay aware, avoid the darkness, and never follow the path of destruction. If you found this video insightful, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more. I'll see you in the next video.